Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean.
Good afternoon. How are you, Facebook, YouTube, and Gael the channel? Welcome to 5.8G Alive. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus. With me as usual.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus.
Boy, Jennifer, today we have a jam-packed show. And I know we have to get the update from you about construction and moving and staging, but
wow,
next
week.
Yes. We'll get a sneak peek next week.
Yes, today I felt really good too, because today I was able to stage for the agent to come and view. You know, so we reached that stage of viewing. So from next week, I'm good.
Looking for tenants. Very good. But listen, Jennifer, we are continuing our journey of exploring the cost of happiness. And today, we are dealing with spirituality. Now, when we were talking about it originally, I had said that the issue of the spirit is that we all have a life force in us that we identify as our God, our creator, or whoever it is. And it so happens this weekend past was Pentecost, and here we are talking about spirit. So we have decided to look at gifts of the spirit to explore the issue of how important is it that inner spirits, how do we use those gifts to help us to be happy? And Jennifer, I think we've got the perfect guest.
Definitely.
Perfect guest. So listen, everybody, buckle up your seatbelts and let's go on an exploration of spirituality with Susan Romano-Davis.
Yep.
Okay, viewers, as we promised, we have another dynamic guest. And this gorgeous person on our screen is Susan Romano-Davis, founder of Sumar Consulting, which does financial and management consulting. Susan, happy belated birthday.
Yes, well, thank you.
You turned 67 last Monday, and you I think the poster child for our happiness, and I'm sure your spirit is coming through there.
And it wasn't only my birthday, it was my daughter's birthday as well.
Wow, that's nice. That's beautiful.
Because words are powerful, you know, when you speak it, it happens. And I remember when I had my first child, everybody used to say, when you have any next one, you know, Trinidadian, sir, when you have any next one, you don't want a boy, you don't want a boy. I say, let me tell you something. If I'm not doing anything not to have a next one, but if that next one don't come by my 40th birthday, better don't come.
Are you serious?
I was delivering Maria Davis on my 40th birthday.
Wow. That is beautiful.
And that year, 1995, was the first year Trinidad celebrated in your arrival day. So she said, I arrived, holiday.
You see? Listen, Susan, I mean, that just runs so beautifully into what we are talking about, because we are talking about the cost of happiness. We are building this third act stage. And it's critical that we are happy. I mean, we have the time to do what we want, So we are exploring all the areas. And when we look at spirituality, because everyone says there's a deeper being in you. But before we go into that, what define happiness for me? How do you see happiness?
I have always believed once I'm in purpose, I am happy. And anytime I felt that I was not happy doing something, I would move on. So whether in my early days, it was dancing, I wanted to be a dancer and I was happy dancing. So whether the results in common entrance or the results in O-levels or A-levels wasn't what people wanted, it didn't matter to me. I was happy doing what I wanted to do.
And let me just say, for San Fernandians and people who would be in the know, just remember Susan Romano, Contemporary Dance Company, Arawak Dance Company.
Well, first, even more than that, first dancer to win Scouted for Talent. And when
Yes.
If you want the car.
I remember now you're sending me back in time.
Yeah,
Susan.
I remember I went to the market the other day, right on Scott Street, and yesterday, and this guy looked at me and he said, Susan Romano, and I said, yeah. He said, I'll never forget that performance on Scouting for Talent.
Oh,
that was yesterday.
Suzanne, do you have a recording of that performance? I think we're going to sneak that in.
In those days, there was, I suppose, maybe the TTT5, because TTT is back with us, I may find it. Yeah. But the happiness for me has always been doing what I want to do. When I was finished, when I realized that I didn't want to live anywhere else but in Trinidad, and dance don't pay, I had to decide what next. And I just didn't want to do a degree for doing a degree. That's not who I am. Whenever I'm doing something, it has to be something that I enjoy doing and that I want to do and would bring me happiness and fulfillment. Yeah. That's when I decided to look at management. I started to do some certificate courses because when I did A-levels, I did languages because that's where I got the best grades. Yeah. Again, dance was important. But when I wanted to go to university, I said, I did some courses, certificate courses, and realized I really liked the area. And then I took no pay leave from the bank and went to do my degree and really enjoyed my time on campus. And everybody thought I was so brilliant then. It was just a change of focus.
Exactly, joy.
Yeah, and that's why I keep telling people it has nothing to do with, don't force children. Let them do what they want to do, let them express themselves in the way they want. My parents allowed me to be me. ModSec allowed me to be me. You know, even not being the top performer or the top academic performer, I was still the valedictorian for the school because of my all-roundedness, because of my, I suppose, my personality. And I think that's what ModSec helped going on to A-levels. That's what it helped me to be able to learn, and not learn, but maybe to understand teamwork and leadership from a perspective, because I was a house captain, I was a head prefect, you know, I was a prefect, and those things, it wasn't, for me, it was never really the academics during those days. It was just being the person I wanted to be, dancing and drama, involved in every aspect of school life. And when we talk, you know, you talk about the spirit, I think that the spirit inside you, moving you to understand that life is, when we talk about life in abundance, you know, it's not only from a financial abundance, but it's a physical abundance. It's the 7 things that you're talking about: the health, the physical, the spiritual, the financial, the social, the emotional. Community. You know, all of those things bring out the spirit, the person in you, that spirit in you. So I've never ever felt, I really can't tell you I have known unhappiness. if I was unhappy, it wasn't for long.
Suzanne, I tell you something, and this is great, and congratulations. Now, from very early, you were able to recognize what brings you joy, and also that spirit, whether that spirit is that you get it through the dance, so you whatever. Did it would you credit, and you did credit your parents for allowing you to do the things you love? So I was just wondering, in your case, you were able, through your parents and the type of spirit you have, be able to achieve those things. For those who may be wondering if it may be too late for them, because we're dealing with the older ones, to still ignite that spirit, what would you say?
Whatever is your joy, you know, some people have a hobby. Like my sister-in-law, for instance, she is very, very, I would say very strong. I see her as strong academically as a geologist. She was a geologist for years. And when she retired, she started to take the government courses.
Yeah.
The white up and stuff.
That was the centers where they offer these programs.
Community centers.
The community centers. She started to take these programs. And if you see the work that Jennifer, I have a painting hanging up here. Sorry, I can't turn the but she actually painted this painting and gave me from my office. And Jennifer is the kind of person who said, I can't paint anything. And if you see the beautiful work that Jennifer is doing now in retirement, loving it. So it's never too late. There are some people who do gardening, some people bake, whatever you find joy in doing, it's never too late. And it could also be just as how you are doing your home, to make it an income earning and not only an expense, but make it a real asset where it produces income. You know, one of the things I did over my home in 2014, and Terry would know because her dad, I built a pool, and that pool has now become, I call it the healing space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I have to come.
People are coming to the pool to do aqua fitness. One of my daughter's friends came to me and said to me, Auntie, I have a business idea. And I said, okay, what's the business idea you have? And at that time, she was not working. She was at UGT, and then she, before COVID, the program had stopped, and she said she's a swimmer. And she said, I'd like to teach children to swim. And I said, bring the business plan to me and let me see. And up to today, her classes have grown, and she is now operating, giving classes to both children and adults, one-on-one, and it's a business income for her. And so my pool is being maintained without me having to put out income.
Yeah.
Right? And I am enjoying what brings me joy. What brings me joy is seeing people coming to the space and using the space. Your dad was one of those people, Terry.
Yes,
and he was the only man among all the women in the space, you know, and he really, really used to enjoy it. It's so sad now that he cannot come anymore. But a lot of people are coming to this space, and this space is bringing people who live alone together. This space is people who community. I mean, I identify with so many things that you all spoke about. Because it's people from the community coming to the space and using the space and enjoying the space and having fun together and talking together and laughing together. Something they may not have been able to do if that space was not available. So I really thank God for all of the gifts and all of the blessings that he has poured upon me. But one of the things I always see, we are not blessed for ourselves. When he blesses us, it's to bless others.
You have to bless others. Yeah.
Listen, that is something that, I mean, when we talked about it, we are life. And so many people, when you hear people talk about their life, their issues, their struggles, the comparison with others, and therefore they can't have this, they can't do that because there's a comparison.
Yeah.
Suzanne, how will you describe that? When I say spirituality, I say the spirit in me, I present it, and I'm not bothered by what anyone else says. What is that for you? What is that spirit in you?
What is that spirit in me? I maybe the courage. I feel I'm a very courageous person. I'm not afraid to speak out. I have never felt, even though I think I've been cast a rebel. Everywhere when I think people cast me a rebel, but I think that's maybe the rebellious spirit in me is a spirit of courage. I feel that given my experiences, I feel and I seek counsel from people I consider wise. So I seek counsel from wise people, and it's what saddens me. I'll tell you all what saddens me, because we're talking about happiness. What saddens me is how people seek counsel from the wrong people, and especially sometimes at this stage in our lives. You know, I've been recently appointed as part of an advisory team to TechU Credit Union. It has nothing to, I am not a member of TechU, but they realize that people are having serious financial issues, and the closing of Petrotrin created even more pain for some people. But what is so concerning to me is the number of people who seek advice from the wrong people. So when we talk about that spirit, you know, part of that spirit has to be not only the courage, but the wisdom to seek advice or counsel from the right people. And I think I've always had the right people in my life, you know, to give me that. And sometimes, you know, we may think it just happens. But if you in the spirit actually leads you without you even knowing that you are being led in this way. So I would say, just as how, you know, sometimes in the Bible it says they were directed without even knowing God's hand was on them. I know my life has been directed, even when sometimes I didn't put him first. Yeah. Or you know, when there are periods in your life when you're going through it, now we're getting closer because we are the elders. We're getting closer to the path along. You know, we get a deeper relationship with him. Yeah, but he has been there with me right through. Right through. And sometimes, as I say, sometimes we don't recognize it until after. Yeah. So then having the right people in my life, having the right mentors, Eileen Maxwell, I would call that name. People wouldn't know that name, but I would call that name. She was a strong mentor in my life because I lost my mother at 25, right? That was a sad period in my life because she was still very young. She was in her 50s, but even the life that she lived, you know, it was a fulfilling life because she was a homemaker, but a very supportive mother. You know, I supported everything that I did. And even you talk about Terry, the household that I grew up in, it was not a household of any kind of wealth. We rented Sutton Street for 30 years.
Downstairs, an apartment downstairs.
An apartment. But everybody was welcome in that house. And anybody who came into that house was fed. And anybody who wanted to stay, stayed, you know, because that's the environment that we grew up in, you know. And I tell people I never felt poor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never felt poor. I always felt that we had so much. Other people may think we had so little, but I always thought we had so much. Yes. You know, my parents gave us education. The three of us are well educated, and each generation builds on that. And so we are able to do better because we now have the knowledge that our parents didn't have.
Suzanne, we have touched on so many of those gifts. And I want to add one more because people, we are in the third act stage. So wisdom is there, understanding is there, counsel, judgment. But sometimes we lack courage. And I know that we don't get here without struggle, without sacrifice. But yet so many of us, when notwithstanding knowing what should be done, knowing knowing right from wrong, just being influenced by a world that is presenting something, you just don't have the courage, the fortitude to go forth. Where did your courage come from? And could you share with us some of your challenges where you soldiered through?
I have so many examples within organizations. For instance, in my time in banking, when I left the bank, and before I even left, when I joined the bank, I remember joining the bank, and that was the period of my life when I was searching what next, the dancing. I still danced, but I know that wasn't going to be the end. So I started searching, and I remember them saying in the bank that after 5 years with the bank, you could get a scholarship to go to university. So when my 5-year period was up, I'm looking out for the scholarship, for the notice, and I'm saying, but I didn't see anything. So I was on vacation, and I was in Port of Spain, and I decided I'm going into the managing director's office. I was Rushford at the time. And I went to his office and I said, I want to see Mr. Rushford. And he said, you have an appointment? I said, no, I just in Port of Spain and I'd like to see him. And he facilitated me, and I spent an hour talking about, wanting. And he said, after an hour, he said, well, I am not the person. You have to see this other man. I said, okay, but I'm in Port of Spain already. I walked straight across to the other manager's office. And he said, but Susanna went out. I said, well, I must have missed it because I really don't remember seeing it. He said, well, okay, what I will do, go home and write why you think you deserve the scholarship. And I did. And I got, I don't think it was, I don't know if they call it a scholarship, but I got a certain amount of money from the bank. And that finance in those days, it was almost like, the amount of money financed my scholarship, my degree. Coming back to the organization now, after 3 years of no pay leave, getting a home because I got my mortgage while I was at the university. Come back to the bank and looking forward to the bank taking over the mortgage because, it's preferential rate. And after struggling for 3 years and you're fighting paycheck to paycheck, right? Because you're still learning financial wisdom, yet you're still like everybody else, paycheck to paycheck. I approached the bank to get the thing, and there was a manager, no name's going to be called, who tried to I went and I got the letter from Royal Bank, and because at the time the bank considered me not employed when I was getting the mortgage. So my brother had to support the mortgage with my husband. So when I went to get the payoff letter from Royal Bank, obviously they put a large penalty for paying off so fast. And that threw me over what I would have qualified for with my salary. I went back to the manager, I explained my situation, and he cleared everything. Everything. But the manager in my bank, I don't know what he had with me, or said that too many staff loans are in arrears. I don't qualify. I said, but who paying the staff? You paying them. If it's in arrears, then you have to be. But tell you all, God does be working in mysterious ways. I left the mortgage with Royal Bank. So I was ready to leave the bank. I didn't have to worry about preferential rate or not preferential rate. And a second incident, I had a run-in with a very senior manager in the bank. Well, I didn't have the run. Information came back to me that this manager called my name in a negative way in front of all the managers and whatever. And I went to my brother. I said, I feel strongly about this because I know how hard I work in the bank. I know what I stand for. I want to write a letter. He said, well, Susanna, if you strongly write. And I wrote. But I had to pass it through my branch manager because he's the one who told me. I said, this will implicate you. He said, Susanna, send it. When it was sent and we were both summoned, he started to pedal back. But I know that God gave me 2 legs to stand on. And so I confronted the manager and we had a communication. And I said to him, in the future, I would appreciate if you come to the source before you do or say anything. He said I got it wrong. And the same way I wrote, when I wrote, I copied everybody, CEO, deputy CEO, this, everybody. I sent an apology, same route, saying that, if I got it wrong, I apologize, but in future, I would appreciate. I heard later that he wanted me to come and work with him, and everybody kept saying, he is East Indian. Everybody kept saying, Suzanne, he wants you to come and work with him because he wants to victimize you. They're going to send you to work in Sandy Grande or somewhere. I said, well, they can send me whatever time I reach. It don't matter. Today, we are the best of friends. And I think he recognized that there was something in me and asked for me to come and work with him. And I did go and work with him. And we have had a very, very, up to today, we still have a very good relationship. When he left the bank, he went into consulting and he got a job in Jamaica and he took me along with him.
Wow.
So, when we feel that if we do something, we could, and you know what? Even if it meant losing my job, I didn't mind because I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know what I believe in, and I've never been without work. And that's when I started my own company, so nobody could fire me.
Suzanne, you definitely have that strong spirit of self and faith and going, without fear because you're being very honest.
Yeah,
you spoke earlier about having mentors and not just having mentors, but for us to choose the right mentor, because when you choose the wrong mentor, it takes you on a different path. And 2 things come up. One, for us to know how do you know this person is the right mentor? And what I thought of, so I just sort of answering that in a way, because I believe having this discernment is very, very important to me. I pray daily for that because it is critical and would also lead to you identifying the right people to be close to you or to counsel you. So when I heard you talk about having a mentor and choosing the right mentor, that spirit, that discernment came to me. And you definitely have to link that, everything linked to that spirit within you and that faith. You must have that faith, because if you don't have it, you won't go, we will say, go where how they put it, you tread
where no one
has tread.
Because that faith, that strong faith in you, knowing that even if you may lose your job, or even if you may not be successful, and you said it in a certain situation, that is what you're guided to do. You feel very strong about that. And to me, that is so important to not just recognize the gift, recognize it, accept it, and move and live your life like that.
And I think what is also added to that I really do hope that our audience is getting, none of this is generated externally to you. It is coming from within.
Yeah.
From within. And once we... Even when I was dancing, I knew that I think I was one of the lead dancers in the company, and there would always...
Suzanne!
There will always be people.
Full clear to everyone. There were two main companies in San Fernando. There was Contemporary and Arawak, which was Eric Butler, and there was Joyce Gibson and Lezafan. I was one of the babies of Lezafan. And listen, Susan Romano on stage was something we looked forward to. You talk about a role model and a mentor, there she is.
A mentor, yeah.
So I
let me give you a joke. And they are going down to the bank, Republic Bank, and I walk into a public in a car park and I walk into the bank. So there's a vagrant just outside the bank. Yeah. Dancer, give me something now. I said, you know? He said, yeah, you used to dance. I said, okay, you really know me.
So you had to give him something.
No, I didn't give him money. I went and I got a meal for him and took it for him. I giving him money. So I gave him something. So yes, you know, again to another time I remember, and again, I suppose it's just who I am. I've always been. Yeah. I was walking around, going to Central Bank to a meeting, and I'm late and I'm rushing around the corner, and as I bend the corner and bounce into this guy, slim East Indian guy. And I said, oh, sorry. He says, is that Romano? I say, yes. He said, Zach. I said, okay. He said, you wouldn't remember me, you know, but you were my house captain and I fainted on the field and you picked me up and carried me off the field. Now, you know, something like that. I would not even remember, but it's amazing how in your life and over my life, you know, how I have impacted people and how people have impacted me. So, you know, I thank God.
And as Jennifer said earlier, you know, it is in you. It is there. It is not, and this is not something that, and I don't want people to think that, all right, you're special, you're born with a gold spoon or whatever it is. And if I come back again to if the spirit is in you and it is that God figure, and we have to say it is the God figure, and it doesn't matter what is your chosen way of worship or anything. Every single, even atheists believe that there is some life force, the forces with them or whatever it is. And it is one that assures you that you are a part of this major universe. We as living beings, we have no plugs hooked into us, but we go in continually for 80, 90, 100 years. All we're doing is eating food and resting. There's no battery. And that force helps us. It gives us that wisdom, that counsel, that fortitude, that courage, that understanding. And the other thing that I believe that has to come into all of this, because many of us have everything, and we don't realize we lose it all because of that little one called piety, which we often think means you're mousy, and you have to sit down and pray. But it is just simple humility and understanding that you're not the center of the universe. And I think notwithstanding your several achievements, Suzanne, you are a humble person. What does humility mean to you?
When I went to a conference in Tobago, and Romano is the guys, somebody was interviewing the owner, Mr. Rollocks, yeah. And she said to him, I heard a story, because he still, when you go to Romano's, they have animals and things on the compound and whatever. And he still seems to sell in the market. He still goes to the market, at least up to that time. That was about maybe 6 or 7 years, could have been longer. And she said to him, I heard that, you know, you went to the market the other day and the stores were not cleaned. And people were complaining, all the other people were complaining, and you pick up the broom and you start to sweep and clean the area. And he said, you know, why not? Is where I want to sell and I want it to be clean. So why can't I pick up the broom and clean? And he said, you know, never forget where you come from. Never forget where you come from. And when you're climbing, make sure you have people below you, because when you fall, you're falling too far. You know, too many of us climb these ladders, forget where we come from, who we are. And I think one of the greatest compliments I've ever been paid is somebody saying, you know, you are the same person I know how many years ago. I haven't seen no change in you. That's a compliment, because it says to me that no matter what, who, when, what, I am the same person that I was, a little older in age, a little wiser in wisdom, but the same person who grew up on Sutton Street. Yeah. I just changed community, and you know, but I don't know how not to live like that. I don't know everything. And one of the things I've always said, every success that I've had, it's a team success. It's not, it was never me alone. It's a team success. And I married a man who never stopped me from being me. Whatever I wanted to do, he supported me. I continued modeling, I continued dancing, I continued. When I decided I was leaving the bank, it was a birthday. You know, the birthdays just bring milestones.
Yes.
So I reached to work, and I was working at police station, and I pick up the phone and I call him, and he wasn't even working at the time. And I pick up the phone, I say, you know what I'm doing? He said, no. I say, I'm writing my resignation. He said, okay. No questions asked. He said, okay. He must know what I would have think it through or whatever. But so he has supported me with everything that I've done and the person that I am. So that too also makes it important, because I remember another guy asking me, your husband still have you modeling? I said, he said, if I were your husband, I said, stop. That's why you're not. You know, because they want to change the person you are, the spirit that you are. And I consider myself as free spirit.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Jennifer, anything else you want to talk to Susan about this cost of happiness? Because it seems as though, what can I say about your cost of happiness? I think your happiness is free. I think it is free because you allow the spirit in you to take you where you need to be. And that spirit gives you with the wisdom, understanding, judgment, fortitude, knowledge, humility.
It's not an easy walk, yeah? It's especially for women. Because sometimes we feel that our happiness depends on the other, the children, or the spouse, or, you know, and that's always, it always amazes me that we feel that happiness is outside of ourselves and not inside of ourselves, you know, and that's why when we say allowing somebody to steal your joy, you know, it's no one can steal your joy unless you allow them to do so. Yeah, you know, when somebody says, when Les Brown says, don't let somebody's opinion of you become your reality. Or Maya Angelou says, you know, nobody could make you feel unless you allow them to make you feel diminished or less, unless you allow them to. So I put up a shield,
a force field,
a force field, you know, to block off those things. And I am very, very clear and very confident about who I am, what I stand for, and I still feel I have so much to do. And I think that's why I'm here, because even with, you all know I was diagnosed. I don't know if you all know that.
Tell us about that story.
I have to say this, Susan. See, I'm not from South. I definitely. So you Ontarian has been ghosted. I've been ghosted. But of course, I know you from the industry. I know about your successes, etc. But you just mentioned in terms of being diagnosed, and that I didn't know. I didn't know.
I was diagnosed in
And, I like to hear the stories in terms of, you know, your whole spirit, how you are. And I totally believe that persons who are ill would get worse because of how they think. You know, so I really like you to share that story, because I believe your mind, how you think during any sort of challenges makes a difference.
You know, and especially, I didn't tell you all too from my model. Some people know me from my dancing days, but I was also a model. I told you all I dressed this evening like a model.
You look great.
Earrings.
From dancing, it was an automatic into, you know, modeling, and I modeled with all the top designers, the Mailings, the Heather Jones, and all that. So you would think
Susan Romano and Sharon in both strutting down the runway with the ladies.
Yes, I stand myself for one of the three top people. But so I went there to see that because of that, you know, you might feel that this physical body is what is who you are, you know, because that's what a lot of people also judge upon it. Physical self that we manifest. So, and for some of us, you know, the hair is our pride and joy, or the boobs and the thing is our pride and joy. So anything that may interrupt that could cause us to be
fall apart.
Exactly. But as I always told people, even when I was modeling, it was never about the physical, it was always about the clothes, you know, the outfit and how you present. I love that word when you said it last week. I listened, how you present yourself to the audience. So in 2015, I was in the shower bathing, and you know, and then I felt something, and I come outside and I tell my husband, I say, "You feeling something?" And he say, "Yes, he's feeling something." So I started an investigation that turned out to be not benign, but breast cancer. And my sister, for me, I didn't like the way it was presented to me. I wouldn't go into that. I'm not going to negate anybody's facility. But I went to my personal physician, who I have known since age 17, Dr. Lauchatown. And I carried all the reports to him, and I said, "I'm sitting here because I trust your judgment." And he said, "Well, Suzanne, if this was my wife sitting in front of me, I would want no one else but Dr. I forget the guy name, at Surgery Med to do." I called him on the phone. I forgot his name because he was the person who handled me eventually. He called him on the phone and he said he will see us. He don't see people on a Saturday, but he will see Martin and I. And we did go to him. And when he looked at my x-rays, he said because the lump was close to the nipple and the nipple feeds the duct, he would suggest a complete mastectomy. And I said, when? I just said, when? He said, whenever you want to. And I said, okay, and I fixed a date. And I came home and my sister-in-law was there behind me. Get a second opinion, get a second opinion, get a second opinion. But again, nothing in our lives happened by coincidence.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. I believe that everything in our life is divinely guided. I used to be coming on from Port of Spain in the car. On a morning, I might listen to 98.1. On an afternoon, I would listen to 95.5. And there was a program, Life Before and After Cancer, that I used to listen to. Just because it was so, because of the industry I'm associated with, and because the program was so powerful. And there was this doctor from Trinidad, Dr. Nisa Ahmad, who was associated with the facility in Miami, 21st Century Oncology. So I decided to Google 21st Century Oncology and put in her name, and I got her name. Long story short, I got on to her, asked if she think I should have a second opinion, and she said she will pass it on to a breast specialist who suggested that I should have a second opinion. I eventually I came back to this Dr. Nate Beaton, and I spoke to him, And he said, Suzanne, go. I know Anissa. I know what they could do abroad. They could do what we cannot do here. You have my blessings. Go. Because he's a vascular surgeon, guessing his name. Very popular vascular surgeon out of Surgeryman. But this person was a breast specialist in Miami. So I did everything in Miami. Again, my God is an awesome God. Awesome, you know.
Yes.
When they did all their, they did over all the MRIs, the X-rays, everything, only one breast showed up the cancer. She suggested I take off the both because of my age. I think I was 61 when I was diagnosed. And, you know, I say, well, me really need the breast for nothing more now. Everybody who's supposed to have done what is supposed to do. So, interestingly enough, I forgot one of the most important things. When I was diagnosed, I write. So I put pen to paper and I wrote. One, I want an accurate diagnosis. Two, if I have to have surgery, I want the best team of doctors to perform that surgery. Three, if I have to have chemo, not even chemo would hurt this body. Four, I do not want to have radiation. 5, 6, 7, 8. I folded up the paper and I put it in my Bible and I never looked at it after that. When I went up to Miami and she said to do the double mastectomy, I agreed. When that surgery was completed, when they took off the left breast and they did whatever biopsy, there was a 0.3 millimeter cancer in the second breast that showed up on nothing.
Oh my God.
That would have been more aggressive than the first.
You didn't take it out.
And I would not have been paying attention to it if I didn't take it upon within a year. It could have changed. So accurate diagnosis, it most certainly was. Team of doctors, an excellent team of doctors. I came back to Trinidad. I did the chemo in Trinidad. Oh, I said I didn't want to do chemo. Even though I put it on paper. Well, I forgot about putting it on the paper because that paper was in 2015. We're talking 20. Everything it's still in the Bible, and it took them a while because I had to do a test that says whether it will return the possibility of returning. They call it I forget, $5,000 test. But when it came back, my marker, every marker was 30. I was about 35. So it said I had to do chemo. And I told my children I was doing no chemo. That was a Wednesday night when I got the call from Miami. Thursday, I was going to Smith Robinson to get some medication because I had gotten a blood clot after the surgery. That was another story. But I was on this blood thinner, so I was going to Smith Robinson and I had to pass Dr. Longchatown's office. Remember, he's my personal physician. I saw him lying and he didn't have no patient. So I went to him and told him what he said. And I said, I'm not doing that. And he said to me, you read so far, why you don't want to do it? You know, reconsider. I think you should do 10 years from now. You look back and you say, you know, I should have. I got to my office. There's a survivor in my office who was one of my advisors. She buffed me too. You have to do it. You must go and do it. And then the Friday morning, I got up at 5 o'clock, picked up my Bible, picked up my daily word and went into the court. And I said, okay, Lord, your voice. I listen to everybody else, but you speak. And as I opened the daily word, the passage was Jesus in the boat sleeping and the storm and the drowning, and they start to shout out, Master, Master, you know, aren't you? And I said, I just smiled. Well, and what was his question to them? O ye of little faith, why do you doubt? Why do you still doubt? And I closed the word And I opened the Bible and the paper dropped out. But that I didn't look at for a couple of months. And that paper, I remember writing, not even chemo would hurt this body. So remember, I started off this program by saying how words are powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not even chemo hurt this body.
And you had no chemo.
I had chemo. I did it. I decided to do it. I said, okay, yes,
You were fine.
I was fine. I didn't feel tired. I was exercising. I was working. I was, so words, what we speak. I believe in the word made flesh.
And you did at no time, Suzanne, you saw yourself as a victim.
At all.
Yeah.
And that's why I suppose I always say, I'm here for purpose. And I have counseled so many people since that time. And continue. Right now, there's a lady come with her son in the pool. And, I've been walking with her.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's so many people, because so many people see it as a death sentence.
Yes.
And so many people are so concerned about, the loss of hair. When I lose all the hair, it was bad. And I always, one of the things I always wanted to do was wear a wig. I always to see people with wigs and things, and I always want to wear a wig. And that was not me. I just couldn't do it. I don't find it did anything for me. And every time I put on a wig, I find it look like an old lady or something, And then one day, I told my husband, we were going to a function, and I said, listen, I can't wear this wig for 5 or 6 hours in this heat. I'm going with my bald head, put on earrings like this, put on my makeup, a real contrast. It was real. That one was up, first time. Not realizing that my same sister-in-law take pictures and send it all over the place and say, look at you rocking the bald head. And that was it. After that, I just started going around with my passport picture. Because my passport had to renew. The passport picture still have the bald head. So it's still a reminder of that season in my life, but
Suzanne, you are such an inspiration for happiness.
Yeah.
How, in spite of what happened, it is we are the ones to make ourselves happy, to find the things that give us joy.
The spirit is in us. And
Definitely.
if we do not connect with our spirit ourselves, and I think that is the lesson here. If we are not in connection with it and be guided by that God figure, as you said, speak to me, speak. We're going to be chasing after different things.
Too many of us just focus, we right now preparing a retirement planning session for the MBA alumni. And one of the things one of the questions is, at this stage, who are you? Is it because so many of us are defined by our positions or our jobs or our,
things.
Who are you? Who really are you? Are you? I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a daughter, I am so many things, but I am me. I am just loving me and who I am. And I love who I am, and I don't think I will change who I am for anything.
And there's no reason to change, because listen, the who that you are is the who that God created.
You need to be.
And when you want to understand something, you go to the Creator. No one else can tell you and guide you. And I think that is the be all and end all of understanding how critical it is to be connected to your spirit, your inner spirit, because that is the spark that really keeps driving your life forward. And anything else about happiness is just going to be futile if you're not true to that. Suzanne, this has been beyond. I am thrilled to have had you here, my mentor. I swear I have an image of you in that belly costume. And oh my God, Suzanne would light up a stage. This has been perfect.
You know, I've always been on stage, so it gave me that confidence, you know, that performance confidence. And I think that everything that I have done, I have taken into the next area. So everything was a stepping stone to the next part of your life, or the next season in your life, or the next area in your life. You know,
sure, yours was dance, but for our listeners, it doesn't matter. Whatever every stage builds on the next stage. And thank you so much for this inspiration. Thank you.
Thank
Stay
you.
happy and beautiful.
It's lovely chatting with you.
It was a pleasure.
Okay, Susan. Jennifer, do we understand that spirituality is fundamental to the cost of our happiness, bringing that cost down?
I definitely do. And you know, the spirit in me, because embracing your gifts, Terry, and I always talk about that, and just moving with faith. And don't allow other people, and we've said it over and over. We heard Marin said it last week, and now we just heard Susan confirming it is in us. We are in charge. We are responsible for our happiness, and to do the things that we love and not be distracted by others. I mean,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And another thing, and you know, sometimes some people may find that difficult to do. That, how do I know what I love? How? One of the things that, again, it doesn't matter where your stance in life is, because that spirit resides in you. Once you are still yourself and listen, call it your conscience, call it whatever you want. It is in you and it will speak. Trust it. Trust it. Sometimes we make decisions and something is telling us you're not supposed to do that. Don't do that. Don't say that. Don't. But we go ahead because, as Susan said, wrong mentor, bad counsel. Yeah. You're coward. You don't trust yourself. Have some faith in yourself.
And as you said, deep down, you know, Terry Ann, you know, so let me get advice from someone and they say, that's not sounding right. It's just not, or that's not me. I don't feel doing it. Yeah. Yeah. And if it's not you, if you don't feel to do it, just don't do it.
We're grown people.
We go because we feel okay, and then we have to be careful that we're not looking for somebody else to blame. You know? And we may make the decision, say, because so-and-so tell me to do it. So if it didn't work, they're the ones to blame. So yeah.
It's your life, your spirituality. So we hope you really enjoyed that conversation with Suzanne. And you have to pay attention because we continue. And next week, we're going to be talking about physical health and well-being. You spoke about emotional. So, Jennifer, this was great. So we're going to step quickly over to Tribe because you have a message for you. Something is happening soon. Jennifer, the calls are coming in. People are registering to get on the boat.
Yes, that dinner cruise, Carney Bird Sanctuary. Yep.
23rd, 23rd of June. You've got the links on Facebook. If you want more information, you can call us. You know the link to Pay Figaro. You can do a direct deposit. We're just trying to book 2 boats only, so we're looking at just about 30 to 32 persons. We're not going in a big cruise ship on the Carney to the Steamboat.
Sailing comfortably along the Carney Bird Sanctuary. Yeah.
So here is the ad while we close the show. Listen, today was a beautiful show. It was a joy. Yes. Everyone, keep yourself mental, emotional well-being, and keep with your spirit.
Have a spirit-filled week.
Yes, next week we'll deal with your body. So, bye.
50 Plus Tribe, come on board for our June event. It's Sunset Dinner Tour at the Carney Bird Sanctuary on Thursday, the 23rd of June from 3 to 6:30 p.m. Cost $370. Book early as seating is limited. Click on the link below. Give us a call at 682-922 or 685-8834. See you on
50 Plus Tribe and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.